Picture the resonating sound of hammer striking metal, sparks flying through the air, as a blade that will change the destiny of empires takes shape in the fires of history. The year is 58 BC, and a young Roman general stands on the precipice of writing one of the most revolutionary chapters in world military history. Julius Caesar emerges from the mists of time as a figure whose influence would reshape the ancient world. Born into a patrician family in Rome, his early life was marked by political turbulence and civil strife. Yet it was his military genius that would truly set him apart from his contemporaries. As he stood at the northern borders of Roman territory, gazing toward the vast expanse of Gaul, few could have predicted the seismic changes his campaigns would bring to the ancient world. The Roman Republic of Caesar's time was a complex political entity, expanding but also struggling with internal tensions. The conquest of Gaul would not only secure Rome's northern frontier, but also provide Caesar with the military prestige and wealth he needed to navigate Rome's treacherous political waters. At just 42 years old, Caesar had already proven himself as both a skilled orator and a capable administrator, but it was in the fields of Gaul where he would forge his legend. Gaul itself was a tremendous expanse of territory, stretching from the Mediterranean coast to the Rhine River, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Alps. This was no empty wilderness waiting to be claimed, but a sophisticated world of Celtic tribes, each with their own political systems, alliances, and military traditions. The Gauls were renowned warriors, feared even by the Romans since their sack of Rome in 390 BC. Their warriors stood taller than the Romans, their cavalry was superior, and their iron-working skills were legendary. In this period, the political landscape of Gaul was experiencing significant upheaval. Tribal rivalries, Germanic pressures from the east, and increasing Roman influence from the south had created a volatile situation. The migration of the Helvetii tribe would provide Caesar with the perfect pretext to intervene, setting in motion a series of events that would culminate in one of the most significant military conquests in ancient history. The Roman legions Caesar would lead into Gaul were perhaps the most effective military force the world had yet seen. Their discipline, organization, and adaptability would prove crucial in the coming campaigns. These were not merely soldiers but engineers, builders, and adaptable fighting units capable of operating in any terrain and against any enemy. Get ready for an epic journey through the battlefields that transformed the ancient world. We'll explore the strategic genius of Caesar, the fierce resistance of the Gallic tribes, and the ultimate creation of a new Roman province that would fundamentally alter the course of European history. This is not just a tale of conquest, but a story of cultural transformation, political masterstroke, and military innovation that continues to influence our understanding of warfare and leadership to this day. The stage is set for one of history's greatest military campaigns, where a brilliant commander would face worthy adversaries in a struggle that would reshape the ancient world. Welcome to the story of Caesar's Gallic Wars, a tale of ambition, strategy, and the birth of an empire. In 58 BC, Gaul stood as a vast tapestry of diversity, far from the unified territory it would later become under Roman rule. This expansive region, stretching from the Mediterranean to the Rhine River, was a complex mosaic of Celtic tribes, each functioning as a sovereign nation with its own distinct cultural identity, political systems, and territorial ambitions. The major tribes, the Aedui, the Arverni, and the Sequani, dominated the political landscape, forming intricate alliances and rivalries that shaped the region's dynamics. The Aedui, longtime allies of Rome, held significant influence in central Gaul, while the powerful Arverni controlled vast territories in the south. The Sequani, positioned strategically near the Rhine, played a crucial role in managing relations with the Germanic tribes beyond the river. The landscape itself played a vital role in shaping the political and military realities of the time. Dense forests covered rolling hills, providing natural defenses and resources for the Celtic peoples. Fortified settlements, known as oppida, dotted the verdant valleys, serving as centers of trade, craftsmanship, and political power. These settlements represented remarkable achievements in urban planning and fortification, with some housing populations of tens of thousands. The Gallic warriors themselves were an impressive sight, their appearance as distinctive as their fighting prowess. Tall and physically imposing, they wore their hair long and braided, with flowing beards that added to their fearsome appearance. They carried beautifully decorated shields painted with tribal symbols, and wielded finely crafted weapons that demonstrated their superior metallurgical skills. Their cavalry was particularly renowned, considered among the finest in the ancient world. The political sophistication of Gallic society often surprised Roman observers. Far from the barbarian stereotype, the Gauls had developed complex systems of governance, with elected assemblies, hierarchical social structures, and elaborate diplomatic protocols. Their economy was equally sophisticated, with established trade routes stretching from Britain to the Mediterranean, and a monetary system that included locally minted coins. Religious and cultural life in Gaul was rich and multifaceted. The Druids served not only as priests but as judges, teachers, and keepers of oral traditions. Their influence extended across tribal boundaries, providing one of the few unifying forces in Gallic society. Sacred groves and temples dotted the landscape, serving as centers for both religious and political gatherings. However, this world stood on the brink of unprecedented change. External pressures mounted from all directions. Germanic tribes pushed from the east, Roman influence crept northward from the Mediterranean coast, and internal tribal rivalries created constant tension. Trade with the Roman world had already begun to transform Gallic society, introducing new goods, ideas, and cultural practices that would only accelerate with Caesar's arrival. The apparent chaos of this tribal confederation masked a sophisticated political ecosystem that rivaled any contemporary system in complexity. Each tribe maintained its own diplomatic relations, formed alliances, and engaged in power politics that would be familiar to modern international relations experts. This was the world Caesar would enter, not a primitive wilderness, but a dynamic and complex political landscape that would challenge his military and diplomatic skills to their utmost. This rich tapestry of Celtic life, poised between tradition and transformation, would soon face its greatest challenge as Caesar's legions prepared to march north. The stage was set for a collision between two sophisticated worlds, each with its own vision of civilization, power, and destiny. Julius Caesar approached the conquest of Gaul with the calculated precision of a master strategist and the political acumen of a seasoned statesman. Far beyond mere territorial acquisition, his campaign represented a sophisticated blend of personal ambition, Roman imperialism, and strategic necessity that would reshape the ancient world. Caesar's primary motivation stemmed from a deep understanding of Roman power dynamics. In Rome's political arena, military glory served as the ultimate currency for political advancement. The conquest of Gaul offered Caesar an unprecedented opportunity to accumulate this vital political capital. Each victory, each conquered tribe, and each triumphant dispatch to Rome strengthened his position in the complex web of Roman politics. The economic dimensions of Caesar's Gallic campaign were equally significant. Gaul represented an untapped wealth of resources, gold mines, fertile agricultural lands, and vast forests. The potential for trade routes, new markets, and access to valuable commodities like slaves and precious metals promised to fill not only Rome's coffers, but also Caesar's personal treasury. This financial aspect was crucial, as Caesar had accumulated enormous debts financing his political career in Rome. Strategic considerations formed another cornerstone of Caesar's motivation. Rome had long feared the Gallic tribes, particularly since their sack of Rome in 390 BC. The memory of that humiliation lingered in Roman consciousness, making the subjugation of Gaul a matter of both security and national pride. Moreover, the increasing pressure from Germanic tribes beyond the Rhine threatened to destabilize Gaul and potentially create a dangerous situation on Rome's northern frontier. Caesar's strategy reflected remarkable sophistication in its implementation. He masterfully employed a combination of military force and diplomatic manipulation, playing tribes against each other while presenting himself as both conqueror and protector. His approach closely mirrors modern concepts of divide and rule diplomacy. He would often intervene in tribal disputes, positioning Rome as an arbitrator while gradually extending its influence. The campaign's execution demonstrated Caesar's genius for adaptive strategy. He understood that conquering Gaul required more than military victory. It demanded a fundamental transformation of Gallic society. His strategy included the systematic introduction of Roman administrative systems, the co-option of local elites, and the gradual integration of Gallic nobility into the Roman political structure. Caesar's military innovations during the campaign were revolutionary. He developed new siege techniques, improved the mobility of his legions, and created novel tactical formations to counter Gallic cavalry. His engineering projects, including bridges across the Rhine and massive fortification systems, served both military and psychological purposes, demonstrating Roman power and technical superiority. The psychological dimension of Caesar's strategy cannot be understated. Through his carefully crafted commentaries sent back to Rome, he controlled the narrative of the conquest, presenting himself as both a mighty conqueror and a civilizing force. These dispatches, later compiled as De Bello Gallico, served as powerful propaganda tools, shaping public opinion in Rome and beyond. In many ways, Caesar's approach to the Gallic Wars presaged modern concepts of comprehensive strategy, combining military, diplomatic, economic, and psychological warfare. His understanding that lasting conquest required more than military victory, it needed cultural transformation and political integration, demonstrates a sophistication that would influence imperial strategies for centuries to come. The parallels with modern geopolitical doctrines are striking. Like contemporary powers practicing containment strategies, Caesar recognized the importance of securing buffer zones and neutralizing potential threats before they could materialize. His projection of Roman power into Gaul served multiple strategic objectives: securing borders, acquiring resources, and establishing a platform for further expansion. Caesar's Gallic campaigns thus represent more than a series of military conquests. They exemplify a comprehensive approach to empire building that combined military prowess, political acumen, and cultural transformation. This multifaceted strategy would not only secure his place in history, but also establish a template for imperial expansion that would influence political and military thinking for generations to come. The Gallic Wars were marked by several pivotal engagements that showcased Caesar's military genius and transformed ancient warfare. Two battles, in particular, stand as masterpieces of tactical innovation and strategic brilliance: the Battle of Bibracte and the Siege of Alesia. The Battle of Bibracte in 58 BC marked Caesar's first major engagement in Gaul. The conflict began when the Helvetii tribe, numbering around 368,000 people, including 90,000 warriors, attempted a massive migration through Roman territory. Caesar, commanding just under 40,000 legionaries, recognized this movement as both a threat and an opportunity to establish Roman authority in the region. The battle unfolded in the rolling hills near Bibracte, where Caesar demonstrated his tactical mastery. He positioned his forces on elevated ground, using the terrain to neutralize the Helvetii's numerical advantage. The Roman legion's superior discipline proved decisive as they executed complex maneuvers under pressure. When the Helvetii attacked uphill, the Romans unleashed their pilum, throwing spears, in coordinated volleys before engaging in close combat with their short swords. The fighting continued for hours, with a decisive moment coming when the Helvetii attempted to outflank the Roman position. Caesar responded with a brilliant tactical adjustment, executing a complex triple-line rotation that allowed fresh troops to replace exhausted soldiers while maintaining battlefield pressure. This innovative maneuver, previously unseen in ancient warfare, demonstrated the superior training and flexibility of the Roman military system. The Siege of Alesia in 52 BC represents perhaps the most extraordinary feat of military engineering and tactical brilliance in ancient warfare. Vercingetorix, the charismatic leader who had united many Gallic tribes, took refuge in the hilltop fortress of Alesia with 80,000 warriors. Caesar, leading 50,000 legionaries, faced the daunting task of besieging a naturally fortified position while simultaneously defending against an expected relief force. Caesar's solution was unprecedented. He ordered the construction of two concentric rings of fortifications. The inner ring, approximately 11 miles long, contained walls, towers, and traps to keep Vercingetorix's forces trapped within Alesia. The outer ring, stretching 13 miles, protected the Roman forces from the anticipated Gallic relief army. This double fortification system, known as circumvallation and contravallation, included sophisticated defensive features such as buried stakes, stimuli, concealed pits with sharpened stakes, lilies, and multiple rows of trenches. The engineering feat was completed in just 6 weeks, with Roman legionaries working as both soldiers and construction crews. The fortifications included 8 camps and 23 redoubts, double trenches, 20 feet wide each, ramparts 12 feet high with palisades, towers every 80 feet, complex systems of obstacles and traps. When the Gallic relief force of 250,000 warriors finally arrived, Caesar's forces faced attacks from both sides. The decisive moment came when the Gauls coordinated a massive assault from both inside and outside the fortifications. Caesar personally led a cavalry charge at the critical moment, breaking the back of the Gallic attack and securing a victory that would effectively end organized resistance in Gaul. These battles revolutionized military science in several ways. The Battle of Bibracte demonstrated the superiority of disciplined, professional armies over larger but less organized forces, while introducing new tactical formations that would influence warfare for centuries. The Siege of Alesia showcased the Roman ability to combine engineering, logistics, and tactical flexibility on an unprecedented scale. Beyond their immediate military significance, these engagements had far-reaching historical consequences. The victory at Bibracte established Roman authority in Gaul and provided Caesar with the momentum to continue his conquest. The triumph at Alesia effectively ended organized Gallic resistance and secured Roman dominion over Western Europe for the next 5 centuries. These battles also highlighted the contrasting military cultures of Rome and Gaul. While the Gauls relied on individual warrior prowess and massive charges, the Romans emphasized discipline, engineering, and tactical flexibility. Caesar's victories demonstrated that systematic organization, professional training, and strategic innovation could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, establishing principles that would influence military thinking well into the modern era. The conquest of Gaul represents one of history's most profound examples of cultural transformation, extending far beyond military victory to reshape the linguistic, cultural, and political landscape of Western Europe for millennia to come. This comprehensive transformation would establish foundations that continue to influence European civilization to this day. The linguistic impact was perhaps the most enduring legacy. Latin, introduced as the language of administration and commerce, gradually permeated all levels of Gallic society. This linguistic transformation was so complete that modern French, along with other Romance languages, emerged from the fusion of Latin with local Celtic languages. The process wasn't merely linguistic substitution, but rather a sophisticated blend of Roman and Celtic elements that created new forms of cultural expression. The Roman conquest and subsequent development of Gaul fundamentally reshaped its landscape, society, and culture, leaving an enduring legacy that continues to influence modern Europe. Urbanization transformed Gaul with the establishment and expansion of cities that remain major European centers today, such as Paris, Lutetia, Lyon, Lugdunum, Marseille, Massilia, Bordeaux, Burdigala, and Cologne, Colonia Agrippina. These cities were interconnected by an extensive network of Roman roads, many of which have evolved into modern highway systems. The Romans introduced sophisticated engineering projects, including aqueducts to supply clean water, amphitheaters for entertainment, public baths serving as social hubs, forums for commerce and governance, and defensive walls that shaped the growth of urban centers. The economic transformation was equally transformative. Advanced agricultural techniques and new crops enhanced productivity, while a standardized currency system facilitated trade. The development of organized trade networks and advanced practices in mining and metallurgy laid the groundwork for economic integration and prosperity. Social and political changes redefined Gallic society, as the Romans implemented a standardized legal system, established educational institutions, and introduced administrative structures modeled on Roman hierarchies. Citizenship rights and responsibilities created new opportunities and obligations for local populations. Religious transformation was marked by syncretism. Roman gods were introduced and often merged with Celtic deities, creating a hybrid religious tradition. Temples blended Roman and Celtic architectural elements, while religious festivals integrated aspects of both traditions. This syncretism set the stage for the later spread of Christianity, which would become a dominant force in the region. Cultural integration extended to architecture, art, fashion, and diet, as Roman styles and practices were adopted and adapted to local traditions, creating a distinctive Gallo-Roman identity. The Roman military legacy influenced Gaul's future defense strategies and shaped European military practices. Fortification techniques informed medieval castle design, Roman training and discipline influenced subsequent armies, and Roman strategic thinking left a lasting imprint on military doctrine. Educational and intellectual changes were profound, as the Romans introduced written culture, established schools, and developed an educated administrative class. This facilitated the preservation and transmission of knowledge, laying the intellectual foundation for later European developments. Economic reforms standardized weights, measures, and trade regulations, while the introduction of banking practices and professional guilds provided a more structured economic framework. The administrative impact was far-reaching, with the establishment of provincial government systems, efficient tax collection methods, legal courts, and civil service organizations. However, these changes also came with significant environmental consequences, including large-scale deforestation, extensive mining operations, and urban expansion that reshaped the natural landscape. The long-term cultural consequences of Roman rule included the creation of a unique Gallo-Roman culture, the development of new social hierarchies, and the emergence of regional identities that influenced the formation of early medieval kingdoms. These transformations provided the foundation for modern French culture and contributed to the development of European legal and administrative systems. The Roman influence endured well beyond the empire's fall, shaping medieval feudal structures, church organization, and European governance. Today, the legacy of Rome's impact on Gaul is evident in archaeological sites, city layouts, place names, and linguistic features, as well as in cultural practices and traditions that continue to reflect the region's Roman heritage. The Gallic Wars thus represent not just a military conquest, but a comprehensive transformation that created the foundations of modern Western European civilization. This complex process of cultural fusion, technological advancement, and social reorganization established patterns that would influence European development for centuries to come. The legacy of Caesar's conquest continues to shape our understanding of how civilizations interact, adapt, and evolve through conquest and cultural exchange. Caesar's conquest of Gaul stands as a testament to the transformative power of visionary leadership and strategic brilliance. His achievement went far beyond military victory. It fundamentally reshaped our understanding of empire building, military strategy, and cultural integration. The Gallic campaigns were not merely a series of battles, but rather a complex process of geopolitical transformation that would echo through the centuries. Looking at Caesar's legacy through a modern lens, we find his influence pervading contemporary concepts of power, leadership, and cultural assimilation. His approach to warfare, combining military might with diplomatic finesse, continues to inform modern strategic thinking. The way he balanced hard power with soft power, using cultural integration as a tool of empire, offers insights into current international relations and conflict resolution. The methods Caesar employed in transforming Gaul from a collection of independent tribes into an integrated part of the Roman world provide a fascinating parallel to modern nation-building efforts. His understanding that lasting change requires more than military dominance, that it demands cultural, economic, and social integration, remains remarkably relevant in today's global context. In our modern world, Caesar's legacy lives on in unexpected ways. The institutions he established, the urban centers he developed, and even the linguistic changes he set in motion continue to shape European civilization. His commentaries on the Gallic Wars remain a masterclass in political communication and public relations, demonstrating how narrative control and information management can be as crucial as military victory. The questions of power, identity, and cultural integration that Caesar grappled with in Gaul remain central to contemporary global politics. How do societies maintain their cultural identity while adapting to change? How can military victory be translated into lasting peace? These questions, which Caesar answered through action, continue to challenge modern leaders and thinkers. Caesar's Gallic Wars remind us that the most profound historical changes often come not through single battles, but through sustained processes of cultural and social transformation. His achievement was not just in conquering Gaul, but in laying the groundwork for a new civilization that would emerge from the fusion of Roman and Celtic cultures. As we conclude our journey through this pivotal moment in history, we're reminded that the past is not merely a collection of distant events, but a source of enduring lessons about power, leadership, and the complex dynamics of cultural change. Caesar's legacy lives on not just in history books, but in the very fabric of modern European civilization, and in our understanding of how empires rise, adapt, and transform the world around them. The story of Caesar's conquest of Gaul is ultimately a story about transformation, of people, of societies, and of civilization itself. It stands as a testament to how individual vision and strategic genius can reshape the world, leaving marks that endure for millennia. In studying Caesar's achievements, we gain not just historical knowledge, but insights into the timeless challenges of leadership, governance, and cultural change that continue to resonate in our modern world.